Everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. What a long time it's been, but yeah, for all the good reasons, yeah. I have had the time of my life in the last few weeks, and I thank God that I've been able to share some of my journeys with you guys, especially with respect to my birthday. Okay, we're going to do a lot of political talk now, but I want to take the time out to thank all of you who supported me, who sent me best wishes and all of that, especially my wife, who threw a massive, elegant surprise party for my 50th birthday on the 9th of February. Of course, I turned 50 on the 4th of February, but the party was on the 9th, okay? I didn't know the venue until the day of the event. It was amazing. I mean, it became easily the talk of the town. Everyone was talking about it. All the pictures I posted on social media, people were like, oh my goodness, how can you say you're 50? This, that. In case you want to know the secret, it's the glory of God. But I just want to thank you guys for all your best wishes and all the prayers, except for some demon-possessed guy or girl or whoever it was, or one or two persons who, if I say, I was told about this and I was shocked at that on YouTube. Someone actually called my wife Jezebel for wearing a beautiful dress that she was so comfortable and beautiful in. And I was like, the Lord rebuke you. You do not try that with my family. And if that person, of course, who has been removed from my channel does not repent, God is going to deal with them for doing that. You don't touch God's anointed. That is overreach to the highest level. Okay, and I made sure that they got that person removed from my channel, because you don't have any part in what I do if you can be so terribly toxic about something that is absolutely nothing. Somebody dressed well, all you can do is appreciate them and be happy for them. You don't get that toxic, all right? That's not the kind of people that I have on my channel. My channel has brought me close to so many people that I now call my family members, but there are also some serpents. There are also some very toxic fellows. Many of them hated me from day one, and they still won't stop following me because they know that I follow a certain path in this life. This is why God made me to come online in the first place, to always stand for what is right. But there are people who are opposed to everything that I stand for. And I'm not going to be angry with you for opposing me. I'm not going to stop you from following me, but I will resist every attempt you make at toxifying the beautiful things that God has given me as a human being, both in terms of family and in terms of knowledge and wisdom, which I share with those who really care to hear and understand what I have to share. So that's that. Other than that toxic thing that I saw, I want to tell you that my birthday has been the best season of my life. My 50th birthday has been probably the best experience I've ever had since I was born. I did not see any of this coming. I mean, look at how God, out of nowhere, within a period of just 1 week, arranged for me to be, invited to the inauguration of President Trump, something that I did not see coming at all. And on top of that, I was honored. And then my wife also, and all the friends and family also got together and honored me in the way they did at the party. My goodness, you would just want to be me. Don't you want to be me? So God bless you guys. I really appreciate you. But let's get down to what we have for today. If you look in the media, you would have seen that they are at it again. Everything we prayed for and wished for and hoped for is happening right now. President Donald J. Trump made a move recently, and that move triggered Zelensky. And then Zelensky unleashed on Trump, and then Trump fired back. And I'm going to tell you, because right now on CNN, the owners of CNN are the same owners of Zelensky. You've heard me say this over 1 trillion times. I've told you this in the past. I stand for the truth. And what I say to people all the time is, when I speak my researched truth to you, go write it down, take it to the bank and cash it. And if you ever find that what I'm telling you is a lie, stop following me. I told you before we got to this point that there's no reason on earth why the United States of America, if they are in their right senses, should be fighting with Russia. These are the two most powerful nations on earth, the two greatest nuclear powers on earth. Russia has more nuclear stockpiles than America. America is the second. How can you two be fighting if not that a very insane, completely delusional regime was in America under the Democrat Party? If it wasn't for that, why would America support Europe's move to humiliate Russia and go to war with Russia and destroy Russia? So basically, Europeans got together, the same colonial forces of Europe. I have explained this in so many videos and felt like Russia was an enemy. And I've explained to you why they see Russia as enemy. I explained it in many videos if you've been following me. That one of the major reasons they hated Russia so much, especially of late, was the fact that Russia was now entering into Africa and helping African countries to break loose from the shackles of colonialism. And you know that Europe cannot survive without the resources and the treasures they are stealing from African colonies. And so getting rid of them on the continent of Africa is as good as destroying them completely, economically and otherwise. I told you this. I said that was Russia's biggest overreach that now triggered this whole Ukraine nonsense to be able to get at Russia and destroy Russia. That's why they started crossing all kinds of red lines. And America, under Biden, under the Democrats, was funding this lunacy, this historic waste of American taxpayers' money. Biden and co were funding this madness. A war that America had no benefit from. A war that America knew was never going to be won. How many years? 3 years. Nothing won other than millions of people dead that should have been alive today. Ukrainians being captured on the streets, grabbed and thrown into a bus to go and fight a war without any training. This was all that they gained from it, and the money that allegedly have now been stolen, siphoned, billions of dollars. How? If you were a businessman and you know that throwing billions into a venture was not going to yield you any profit, would you do it? These guys knew it. Ask me, why were they still doing it? That's why we kept praying and wishing and hoping for a man that can easily align himself with the purpose of God for humanity to take over. And he finally took over, because the battle between light and darkness was won in favor of light over darkness. Zelensky, after Trump had a meeting with the Russians, okay? U.S. Secretary of State and the Russian Foreign Ministry guys met, okay? Lavrov and Rubio, and they met in Saudi Arabia. And they met to discuss on the way forward for peace. And Ukraine was not invited. European Union was not invited. And if I may ask, why invite them? No, be honest. They've been pretending that they want peace the whole time, lying to themselves and telling CNN to lie to us about all their pretexts. And nobody said anything. Why, if I were Trump, my goodness, I would do exactly just that. I would never invite them, because they are not serious about finding peace. Let me tell you why they're not serious. There was a peace deal that was supposed to be negotiated in Turkey. Guess what? Zelensky was stopped from attending. I've done the video several times. In fact, go and look it up yourself. It's out there online. It was Boris Johnson who went to Ukraine, to Kyiv, and told Zelensky, you cannot attend that meeting where they're supposed to look for peace. We're just gonna fight. Russia wanted peace. They said, no, don't go. We want to fight. And then the next one was in Switzerland. There have been a bunch of them, but there was another one in Switzerland. Here's the caption for the one in Switzerland. They say, peace summit for Ukraine opens in Switzerland, but Russia not invited. But you have CNN, I'm sure. Even now, watch. You will hear what CNN is saying. How can you have a peace deal about Ukraine and you did not invite Ukraine? How? And this one that happened in Switzerland is not the first time they've gone to go and have a peace deal, to discuss so-called peace deal without inviting Russia. Because they were never interested in finding peace. Everybody had seen the body language of Russia and the body language of Ukraine and their backers in Europe and the Democrat-run American government then. Everybody saw it and knew those who were interested in peace were the Russians and not these other guys. We all saw that. It was as clear as day to everybody. We saw it. And look at this same CNN now. Is parroting that why would Trump go to hold peace talks in Saudi Arabia without inviting the EU? And Trump is saying, why would I invite you guys? You've been at this for the past 3 years. You have produced nothing. You haven't even made a dent. You haven't even made any move. If Ukraine was interested in peace, Ukraine would have attended the one that was supposed to hold in Turkey. Boris Johnson wouldn't have stopped them from going. If the European Union, who are actually using Ukraine, because every time Zelensky speaks, if you want to understand geopolitics, whenever you hear Zelensky speak, just know you are hearing the EU speak. That's the only way to explain it. So they would have gone. Or if they fail to go for that one, they should have invited Russia to the other one. If you look at the one in Switzerland, many nations in the global south refused to attend. Even China refused to attend because they were like, how can you be having a peace talk with global leaders and then all of a sudden you don't want the guy that you're fighting with to come to the peace talk? You're belittling Russia, a major world superpower, and you want to go and have peace talks. You guys just went to go and have fun and drink some wine and click glasses and all of that, and you say that was peace talk? The real peace talk happened in Saudi Arabia, where the big boys sat in a room and the small boys were asked to stay out of the room. Now we know who the big boys are and who the small babies are. And they are all ranting and getting angry and throwing tantrums because the small boys were asked not to come close when elders are having an important discussion. That's what happened in Saudi Arabia. The big boys, the elders, had a chat, and the little boys were told to stay out of the room. It happens every day. And then Zelensky had the temerity to take a swipe at Donald Trump and said he was living in the disinformation space created by Russia. And here's Trump's response to him. Think of it. A modestly successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelensky, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the US and Trump, will never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed while the United States will get nothing back. Why didn't sleepy Joe Biden demand equalization? In that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us Americans. We have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half of the money we sent him is missing. He refuses to have elections. He's very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast, or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something all admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered and millions have unnecessarily died. And so it continues. A dictator without elections. Biden never tried. Europe had done nothing to bring peace. And when he called Zelensky a dictator, what have you been hearing on CNN day in, day out for the last 2 days now? You know what you've been hearing? Trump is calling Ukraine's democratically elected president a dictator. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Why did he call him a dictator? He called him a dictator because Zelensky declared martial law in Ukraine and refused to have elections. When they asked him why, he said, oh, you can't have elections in the time of war. Yes, we have that. Many nations actually have that kind of law. But what kind of war are you fighting? The same CNN is telling you that after all, this is not the first time something like this has happened, that at least UK did it during World War II. Can you imagine? A whole CNN, they have checked all the history books, and the only other example they can find is what UK did during World War II. Let me ask you before they steal your brain from your skulls. Is the war between Russia and Ukraine the same as World War II? Be honest to yourself. The same media, the same demons are lying because the devil does nothing but tell lies. They're telling you that he cannot be called a dictator. Do you know how many African country presidents they have called dictators? Do you know? These people were democratically elected. But when you challenge them, they call you dictator. But Zelensky cannot be called a dictator for refusing to have elections. Even though the Russia they are fighting with also had elections within the same period that the war was going on. Russia conducted elections. Ukraine was sending missiles and all kinds of stuff into Russia. But Russia had elections. And Putin was like, why don't you just go ahead and have the elections? If Zelensky had wanted to have elections, they can actually declare that they want to have elections and there will be a pause in the war. They have had different pauses during this war. You will have a pause. Nobody is going to send any missile as long as you don't send across to Russia. And you will have the elections as you want. But they never were interested. It's not the first time they have made Ukraine to declare martial law. The West has been using Ukraine to play the dirty games against Russia. That's what has been happening. They never wanted to have an election. If they wanted, they would have had one. That's why Putin was like, go ahead and have your elections, my friend. Stop complaining. Go and have elections. We're having our own elections. And when he refused to, the guy said, I'm never going to recognize you as a legitimate leader of Ukraine again. And Donald Trump has now come and he's basically saying exactly the same thing. You are a dictator. What stops you from having elections? Because you know that if you have elections and if it is free and fair, which I believe is what the case is going to be right now, you will be nowhere close to even the worst candidate in the history of Ukraine. Let them bring a man from the streets and let them compete with you. You will not go close to that person. That's why they're scared. So they can use force to do everything in this beautiful country. But the one who has been funding it is not going to fund it anymore. America is done. They've had it. They're not going to take it anymore. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. If you want to do a little bit of research on what has been going on, you know, another thing they're blaming Trump on is Trump does not want to say that Russia started the war. I launched a video right before the war went mainstream. I launched a video. I think the video was launched on YouTube. When was this launched? I can't remember, but it was around about that period that the war started in February of 2022. And the video that I launched was how the first shot was fired. To let you know who fired the first shot in the war. Was I wrong? Today we see Donald Trump echoing the same sentiment that I shared. Because we see the thing from behind. who fired the first shot. All that the media wants you to see is that, Russia invaded Ukraine out of nowhere, unprovoked. Russia just woke up one day, wasn't feeling too good, and said, oh, I have a lot of military might. I want to invade my neighbor. And they just, boom, invaded. Have you ever heard anyone on mainstream media explaining to you anything beyond that Russia invaded Ukraine, or telling you why they invaded Ukraine? If you have, share it at the comment section of this video. Have you ever heard? This is what mind control looks like. That's how we keep telling you. You see, when you see me existing on social media, in the social space, it is because of these lies that I even came alive on social media in the first place. I've explained this to you many times. If it were not for, I have so much I'm doing, but when I see the lies, it has a way of making me so uncomfortable and uneasy, and I can't hold myself until I let it out and tell the people the truth and expose their lies. Look at CNN, broad daylight, a whole CNN. The only reference you can use as an example of martial law declared in the whole Europe is UK declaring martial law during the World War, when you know that the war between Russia and Ukraine was not anything close to a world war. Not anything close. And you support him declaring martial law and refusing to conduct elections. And you don't want anybody to call him a dictator. We jumped a missile, not even a bullet, in Trump's victory. We thank every day of my life that I wake up, I am so grateful and thankful to God. That's why I said his victory alone was enough for me. I wasn't expecting any invitation to attend his inauguration. I was not. In honesty, I was already satisfied. I was celebrating. I made a video here. All of you watch my video, popping the champagne or the drink and just thanking God for his victory. That was enough for me. That was what I have fought all these years for. Because these agents of darkness were bent on destroying our world at all costs. Now look at CNN. Look at what they're doing. They're telling you all kinds of lies about what Trump said. Meanwhile, Trump is telling you the truth. Zelensky, a guy who under his regime, young men in Ukraine were being captured from the streets and thrown into buses to go and fight and die. This is where we are today. But thank God that we have a president in the White House who understands that the values that a conservative America shares are exactly the same as the values that this mighty country called Russia shares. Conservative America is basically the paradigm that understands and that carries the core values that America is known for from inception. In God we trust. There are only two genders, male and female. Do you understand? And this is exactly the same thing that Russia believes in and promotes. It's not just belief. They promote, let people eat organically and not GMO. Exactly what Robert Kennedy Jr. has come to do. And Russia also promote. Tell me what this conservative America under Trump believes in that Russia does not believe in. Tell me. Very godly, very God-fearing. The same thing with Russia. Why would you make them an enemy? That's why Trump was fuming before he became president for the second time. He said, I can't believe that Biden will alienate a nation like Russia that we should draw closer to. We share so many common ties with Russia. Why are we alienating and fighting them and pushing them towards communist China when we should be drawing them closer? And Trump, I remember in that video, he vowed that when he becomes president, he's going to change it. So what you're watching play out now is the unraveling of the global geopolitical paradigm. It is unraveling right now and it's going to go to the next level. Can you imagine that at the meeting in Saudi Arabia, they didn't just discuss about Ukraine, they discussed about strengthening their ties, the ties for both, strengthening ties for both countries. America will now invest in Russian industries and Russia will invest in America, and all those red tapes are removed and ties are going to be strengthened. The two mega nuclear powers in the world, there have been states that were ceded to America from Russia, and all America and Russia share a lot of things together. Should never be enemies but friends. Russia cannot be your foe. It should be your friend if you are intelligent. That's why I keep saying, when I say things sometimes it sounds a little bit too far-fetched. But I can tell you, in my heart of hearts, I believe that the Democrat Party of America was founded secretly by the European colonial powers as a tool to recolonize or to continue their efforts at recolonizing the United States of America. But every time they attempt, God always raises people from the Republican side to squash all their plans.